This is Oft Off Topic, a show where two men with the attention spans of a squirrel try and fail to stay on topic with today's subject. Where will their oral meanderings take us? Well, stick around and listen, because today's Oft Off Topic is... Vitas, or That Tongue Guy as he's sometimes known. He is apparently, I'm the last person in the world to know about him. You knew about him. Everybody I brought him up to knows about him, except for me. I just caught on to him just maybe about a week ago. It said,
Okay.
Hey, interesting dude. I'm going to learn about him.
I will interject. Know about him? I won't go that far. Acknowledge he drew breath? Sure. I'll go there.
That is still far further than I ever knew about him.
I mean, I've seen he's popped up on random stuff, that I've seen, like on I think TikTok. I ran across him once, and I watched him for about 0.35 seconds.
People doing reactions to him and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't. I never was like, oh wow, this guy is just okay. Sure, that guy's weird.
Yeah, he is an interesting dude. And the video everybody's talking about that they see him on is the song is known as The Seventh Element. And he's performing at a New Year's party in Russia, dressed like an alien and flicking his tongue like it's nobody's business. And I saw that guy and I was like, I'm going to learn more about him. Namely because as I was watching the video, the next thing up was like, the history of Vitas. I'm like, hey, look at that.
Okay. I was like, instantly, like, I saw this man. I had to know more.
Yes, I had to know more. Who is that glorious silver god?
He kind of reminds... he kind of reminded me of when I first thought it. Like, and then so you're talking about it. You ever see when Peter Dinklage was on SNL?
Oh, Space Pants.
Yes,
yes.
You knew exactly
I love
that.
Yep. Can you see these pants? They're out of this world. Yes, it is very Space Pantsy kind of feeling. Yeah, and also everybody makes fun of him too. But if that same video was all the same, but you put David Bowie in that outfit, people would be screaming, "It's art! He's a genius! It's David Bowie!"
Right?
Yeah, it's all in who's performing it.
Well, here's the thing: is like everyone was like, "Oh, let's make fun of him." Like, but dude, the guy's from middle of nowhere. I'm assuming middle of nowhere, Russia, and you're talking about him. I think it's a success.
We're gonna find out how big of a success he is too, because I was kind of surprised.
Oh, I'm sure I was pretty surprised as well.
Yep. Oh, we're both going to learn. It'll be a journey of discovery and joy. So today we're going to learn about Vitaly Grachev, or Vitas, as his stage name is known. So our story takes place back on February 19th, 1979 in Soviet Latvia, which I'm pretty sure is where Dr. Doom ruled back in the day back then.
Yeah, it is. Is it? No, it's Latvia, but still,
yes, it was Latvia, but close enough. But when I saw them, like, Dr. Doom. Yes. So there he is being ruled by Dr. Doom. We can only assume that maybe
date. I still think Latvia is being ruled by Dr. Doom. Like, when I see it on the map, I'm like, oh,
yeah. Well, there's Latveria is made up, and then there's Latvia, which isn't. Which, it's confusing. I think that's how it works.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, I would like to think that Vitas was actually like Dr. Doom's experiment that escaped from the lab and just kind of like slithered through the woods and found a child and assimilated them and forced parents unwillingly to raise it. Like sort of like some sort of parasite.
This alien, yeah. I'm sure there's some movie about that too. Like,
yeah, and the parents are just like, there's like some weird alien child, and the parents are just raising it normally. Everybody's like, "What's wrong with your kid?" "There's nothing wrong with my child. He's beautiful." "Mother, feed me." But that's not actually how he was born. He was born to his father Vladis and his mother Lydia. His mother was a costume designer, and his father was said to be a musician of sorts, but he was mainly an absentee father as he took off about the age of 3. Therefore, Vitas doesn't know a lot about him, and his mom doesn't talk a lot about him. Vitas' grandfather, however,
you never want to be described. You never want to be described as people said he was. Like people, that's not really clear. Like, well, was he or wasn't he? And why don't you know? Like, that says something when people were like, "Oh yeah, it is said he was."
It said he is a musician, but there's a lot of things we could say about him before that. His grandfather stepped up to fill the fatherly role, and he had musical talent in the form of performing the military choir and knowing some instruments as well. Family life was normal right up until the family decided to flee Dr. Doom's grip and moved from Latvia to the city of Odessa in the Ukraine. And that's where Vitas would start his plans for world domination. Whoa. He would start at the age of 6 when he attended music school and started working on his singing skills and became adept at playing the accordion, of all things. I'd like to think he saw Weird Al on tour and was like, "That's the guy right there. Want to be that."
I mean, is that true for most accordion players? I mean, I know I'm making a huge assumption, but I mean, I can't imagine anyone even touch an accordion without thinking Weird Al.
Yeah, I would imagine Eastern Europe, Russia, a lot different because they got polka history over there, and mean, this is also during the Cold War, too, so I don't know if Weird Al was really over in Eastern Europe much.
Well, I mean, obviously not physically over there, but, his music, the blessed music of the
Weird Al.
One. Yeah, Weird Al has graced over there.
My God, in this video, he's singing about he's fat, and he's fat in a costume, too. High quality entertainment there. We love you, Weird Al. We love you.
Weird Al's amazing.
Yep. At the age of 9, he started taking jazz vocal lessons and started doing some comedic stage performances and some acting work. Around this time, he actually developed a pretty good Michael Jackson impression and could also do moonwalk and sing Michael Jackson songs. Hee hee, yo. That kind of stuff.
See, I mean, if Michael Jackson made it over there, Weird Al definitely made it.
This is very true. Yep. Now that you mention it, if Michael Jackson can make it, Weird Al can make it. Which, I mean, that's kind of the way it worked in life, because Michael Jackson's not around, Weird Al is.
He won.
Yep, he won. All because of the power of the accordion.
I was thinking more like Highlander. Somewhere several years ago, Weird Al was holding that sword over his head while lightning struck everything around him.
Chops off Michael Jackson's head and a little fedora just goes rolling off scene. By the age of 14, he was writing and performing songs, and it was this time he dropped the name Vitali and decided to go with Vitas because it sounded better as a stage name. It flowed better. I agree with him on that.
Yeah.
So he's going around performing, doing stage work, music, Michael Jackson tributes, and doing photography. And those are the ways he was basically making money while living in abject poverty in the Ukraine. Because, a lot of people are poor over there. He was no exception. Around this time, he also wrote one of his biggest songs ever, Opera No. 2. And he was performing that on stage when he was approached by a Russian music producer. Producer pulled him aside and was all, "Hey, kid, you got loads of talent. Make your way to Moscow and I can get you into the entertainment career." Hand him business cards like, "Meet me out there." So what do you do when you're 14 and some weird dude just tells you to go move to the big city and shack up at his place and he'll get you a job in the music industry? Well, you actually do it. So Vitas did. Ran off to Moscow with the dude. And surprisingly, did not get murdered and killed and raped out of the deal.
Surprisingly.
Yeah, kind of. I would assume that, if you're like out in the Ukraine in poverty and some dude's like, "Yeah, come back to the big city with me. I'll show you how things are." That usually doesn't end well, I don't think.
Yeah, I would assume not.
Anyways, he winds up out in Moscow, doing basically the same thing he was doing back in the Ukraine, performing in nightclubs, other small venues, writing music, building his name, enjoying poverties in Moscow as opposed to the Ukraine. And things really weren't going great, but they weren't going bad. He was getting his jobs that the guy promised and, slowly working his way around town. Then he decided to make a trip back to Odessa to visit his family. And there he laid eyes on his future spouse. He went to a playhouse, and backstage he met the love of his life. In fact, he even says that she was the love of his life. Soon as he saw her, yep.
That's what I was waiting for. I was waiting for like a gender pronoun that I'd be like, okay, and he met.
Yep. It was in fact a she. And he fell head over heels madly in love. In fact, it kind of sounds like he started like wooing her right on the spot and was like, "Hey, I love you. I can't be without you for more than 10 seconds from here on. Come back to Moscow with me and we can start our music career out there." Which, I mean, that seems like all sorts of red flags, doesn't it?
Yeah. Hey, come follow me to this other country.
Yeah. And his words were too. He's like, literally, as soon as I saw her, I knew I couldn't spend another moment without her in my life. And so he approached her with a prospect of running out to Moscow like the music producer did to him beforehand, and she agreed. Apparently that's the thing you want to do in the Ukraine is just run off to Moscow with random people who just show up and are like, "Hey, I'll take care of you."
Well, I mean, let's be real. Like, okay, which shit show do you want to be in? This one?
Yeah, right. I mean, it's not like these people are living it high in Beverly Hills, on top of their mansion. And
yeah.
So Vitas did decide to do the right thing and approached the lady's mother and was like, "Hey, I want to woo your daughter away from you and take her off to Moscow and marry her and make her an honest woman," so on and so forth. And apparently her mom just kind of shrugged and was like, "All right, whatever, go, do it. I don't care." Probably one less mouth to feed or something.
Right. I mean, dude, it's Russia.
Yeah, it's Russia.
I mean, I'm not saying that Russians don't love their children, but it's Russia.
Yeah, and it also depends on how many they have, because even around here, I'm sure there's a lot of families that's like, we could get rid of like 3 of these kids.
Yeah, I mean, you hear those stories. I mean, it's terrible, tragic stories, but you hear these stories back when Stalin went around, and the corpse cart would come around, and they'd be putting living people in the corpse cart because they're like, well, by the time you come around next time, because he came around every 2 weeks, they're like, okay, he is going to die during that time.
Yeah.
We don't want to be stuck with this corpse until
Do you
you come
see
back.
this kind of moaning that's going on? This moaning only happens in the last 72 hours of life.
Yeah, it is.
I'm a professional moan whisperer.
Moan whisperer.
Yep.
I can tell he's due.
See, so, that moan is from somebody dying. That moan is from somebody orgasming. That moan is also from somebody dying. The moan
that one's from both.
Yeah. Decided to get one last quickie in before the corpse wagon came by and took her husband. I was also thinking, as far as getting rid of kids, there was a story, and this is like 10, 12 years ago, where I guess Nebraska or North Dakota decided to allow parents to basically bring in their kids to just give them to the fire department and be like, I don't want these, as opposed to like abortion, just basically give up your kid to adoption, no questions asked deal. Well, they passed the law, but they actually legitimately forgot to put an age range on there. One family showed up and dropped off like 6 of their 8 kids aged between like 4 and 16. They literally dropped them off at the government office. Like, they're yours now. Bye. We kept the good ones.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you imagine just like you didn't make the cut?
Yeah, right. Also, I wonder what the cut was. Was it like a talent show, intelligence show, or just put them all in a room and just fight last one standing?
You've had your chance, like the Joker.
Yep. Yeah. So, as far as fleeing children and poor families, we assume, Vitas and his soon-to-be wife showed up at the Ukrainian-Russian border. And that is when Vitas suddenly had to realize there was a huge flaw in his plan on taking the love of his life back to Moscow. You see, he had his paperwork, he had his visas and all that ready to go. All he had to do is walk up to the guards and be like, hey, I'm coming through. They'd be like, yay, okay. But he realized that because everything kind of happened in a hurry, she had no paperwork, like none whatsoever with her. And compounding this problem, too, he was 20 at the time and she was 15. So in the eyes of the law, this was complete and utter kidnapping.
Not kidnapping because the mom said it was cool, but dude.
They don't have paperwork saying that, hey, my mom said it was okay. I mean, they're literally just, it's their word against his, you know. Well, and if you're a border guard and they're like, would you seriously have a dude come by and be like, oh yeah, the mom gave me permission, no paperwork or nothing. Trust me, the mom said it's okay though. Do you think that's going to fly?
Probably not. Like, trust me.
Yeah. So, yeah, Vitas was rather stressed at that moment because, again, you know, the mom wasn't there to show him off. The mom was literally just, take my kid away. Bye. However, Vitas, he managed to make it through his paperwork as expected. And I guess the guards were just really bad at their job because there was a huge family going through about the same time they did. And the guards just assumed the chick was with this giant family that was also going through at the same time. She just kind of got waved through with that huge family and everything sort of worked out.
I can see that happening. I mean, going from, it's like at that time, which I'm assuming is USSR time, you know, it was
like 1994. So this is just after USSR because that was 88 or something like that.
Well, when did the USSR fall?
I don't know. Is that the same time the Berlin Wall fell because of
the Berlin Wall falling was kind of like around, let's see, founded in 1922. When did it go down? I should know this, but no.
Yeah, and that one dude ended communism. Remember, he performed on the wall. Knight Rider. What's his name?
Oh, okay, yeah. 1991 was when USSR went down.
Okay, so this was when he was 20. So this is 99. So yeah.
Okay,
so it's a time in turmoil, however.
Oh, yeah, it's not like, the USSR crumbled. That's all good now.
Yeah. Instantly, everybody just like goes out skipping in the fields, everything. It's like that Simpsons episode where it's like, democracy has come to our country. Or maybe that's Family Guy. And literally the whole country just changes overnight. David Hasselhoff, that's who ended communism in Eastern Europe.
Oh, in Berlin?
Yep. You've heard that story, haven't you?
No.
Oh, you haven't? Oh,
well, I know it was supposed to happen. Like, I know in Germany it was supposed to happen. In Germany, like, it was miscommunication. Like, someone said, it was
like the German guys was like, hey, we're lifting the restrictions like in 6 months, but he forgot to add the in 6 months part.
Yeah, and then by that time, everyone's like storming the wall. He's like, well, whatever.
Yeah, well, whatever. And then David Hasselhoff was performing around there too, and he was actually performing on the Berlin Wall. And if you listen to interviews about it, he will tell you that his music was the sole thing that brought together East and West Germany. that the power of his music brought the people together and caused that wall to crumble.
Oh,
it's one of the most
whatever.
delusional things you will ever hear in your life. He'll literally just stand there and be like, and then my energy went into the crowd, and the crowd's energy swelled, and we could feel communism dying because of my music. It's like, oh, God. You've heard his delusional rants, haven't you?
Oh, I've heard several. I just forgot.
Yeah, like his Knight Rider one, where he talks about how they invented everything in Knight Rider. He's like, because of my show, we invented cell phones and fax machines and even the internet.
He probably came up that while he's eating a burger on the floor.
He probably did.
No, man. The world is outside. There is more going on outside.
Yeah, that man's got some narcissism going on, because no matter what he's doing, he's always the greatest there ever was at it.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of his.
No, I don't know if anybody is other than him. I think David Hasselhoff
he definitely has some fans. I mean,
yeah, but are they actually fans of his, or are they more just like, hey, let's watch this idiot do his thing?
I mean, not all of Germany does that.
That's true.
Well, then was it David Hasselhoff was on Guardians of the Galaxy 2 because he thought he was his dad, and he was in SpongeBob movie, and the SpongeBob movie is really weird. Like he saves SpongeBob and Patrick, but they get on his back, and he's supposed to be swimming, but he's more like a motorboat. I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah, but they're all more joke appearances than anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine.
Yeah, I haven't really seen it. It would be like, my God, dude, Hasselhoff's going to be in a new SpongeBob movie. That's why I'm going to go see this. It's more of a fun of, hey, Hasselhoff's in this. That's neat. I'm surprised he's not dead. Think he's sober now? Don't know. They finally make it back to Moscow, and Vitas' new woman, her prize for making it across the border is several more years of abject poverty before he makes his big break. That big break would come when he is filming a video for his song Opera No. 2. He shows off a very impressive vocal range with an amazing falsetto, and it's set to scenes of him being a fish man in a bathtub with a bunch of fish and buying fish from a fish martin, doing fishy things. It's a very odd video. He's a fish man with gills, however.
Oh, yeah, it's Russian. Of course it was weird. It's like a prerequisite. Like, oh, are you making a video in Russia? Well, guess what? It's going to be weird.
We have these standards here. It has to be this weird. It has to be at least Japanese weird, but not quite French weird, okay? We got to hit that area right in between.
Well, see, Japanese weird is fucking weird. But, like, it seems like Russia weird is weird and dark.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, no one most likely died in the filming of a Japanese thing. It's like,
the Russian thing is like, this man made this show and then died eating a poison turnip afterwards or during it.
And they filmed it. It was fine.
Yeah. So this video was very strange, and like I said, it involves him having fish gills in it, which oddly enough would start the rumor on why he has such a good falsetto, was the fact that he is really a fish man and he has fish gills, Nate. He actually has fish gills. Which, those stupid, like the Marilyn Manson rumors. It was one of those kind of things.
Yeah.
But, of course, Vitas was smart enough to kind of go along with that, too. Do the coy thing of, like, wearing, his collars up or wearing turtlenecks and not actually being like, no, I don't have gills, or I have it, but like, ooh, look at me. I've got a turtleneck on. Ooh, what's that? Playing with
I like how we're not touching the Marilyn Manson rumors. He just dropped that and walked away.
Yeah, right. Well, also he had no problem, toying around with the rumors he had gills, but when the rumor started that he was castrated to get that falsetto, he had no problem denying those rumors.
Of course, yeah, that's when you step in.
It's like
the gills, okay,
maybe,
whatever.
Yeah. Oh, no, I still got my testicles. Yeah, no. Let's not get
yeah. You don't let that slide. You're like, nope.
Yep. That song, Opera No. 2, number one song in Russia from 2001 and 2003, though. That's pretty impressive.
That is pretty impressive.
Yeah. 2001 comes around. Oh, yeah, that song came out in 2001. 2001 was also when that performance you just watched, too, where he wears his little silver suit and goes, that one. That was a show called The Little Blue Light, which was a Russian New Year program. That was, like all those New Year programs, is pre-recorded, so all these people are pretending it's New Year's when it's like October. The whole show is built off of lies.
It still bums me out thinking about 2001 was 22 years ago.
Oh, yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah.
I mean, because hell, I still think the 90s was 10 years ago, like in my head. I mean, I know logically it's not.
Yeah, 20 years ago, it feels like, 1994.
Yeah, I'm not an idiot. I know it was like, longer than that. But just in my head, it's like 1990s, 10 years ago, 1999.
Yeah, it's kind of weird for me when I see like cars that are like brand new when we were in high school, like Lexuses and stuff that was kind of expensive, $40,000, $50,000 cars, and Now they're all beat up and being driven by tweakers and druggies.
Right.
It's like, damn, that thing was a nice car back when I was in high school back in 97. Now it's just dragging a muffler behind it and falling apart.
Right. Back in my day.
Yeah, back in my day, that was a great car. Go back to your bedroom, Gramps. Arr. Yeah. Certain things that just make you feel odd and old.
Yeah. It's a bummer.
Yeah. So that performance of Blue Light was recorded then, but it actually didn't take off until 2015, but we'll get into that later. Kind of give him his career resurgence too. Shortly after that video, and okay, you're going to have to bear with me on this because this is kind of a weird side note. So, shortly after that video in 2002, let's see, the World League made him an honorary board member of their Mind Free of Drugs anti-drug program. That's called a Mind Free of Drugs. It's an anti-drug program that he was made an honorary board member of. In order to do this, part of this process, he underwent a purification ceremony at the foot of the sacred mountain Tashtar Ata, where he was presented with a peace stone that was 350 million years old and, according to legend, had absorbed all the goodness in the world and the history of mankind.
And he smoked that shit and was awesome.
God, I hope that's how that went. That's probably the first thing that popped into his mind. Like,
we're gonna clean you up for like the whole no drugs program. Now here, smoke this.
They just hand him that giant rock, and he's just trying to cram it into free basic Piper alphabet. They're like, no. So other notable board members that he joined: the Dalai Lama, Kofi Annan, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Tina Turner.
You hear about the Dalai Lama? What he did? Like the reason why he's like everyone's kind of giving the side eye now.
Which one? The tongue sucking thing?
Yes. Like, dude.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. That's weird.
I mean, to be fair, okay, look, I'm not Buddhist. I have no interest. Not interest as in like
no interest in Dalai Lama's tongue.
Well, no, I'm talking no interest. And when I say interest, I'm not talking about like interested. I'm talking like no investment. I should use that. I have no investment in the Dalai Lama being a good or bad person. It's just chalk him up right next to Gandhi sleeping with little girls and
giving him enemas. Weird.
And then also Mother Teresa being a total horrible person.
Yeah, people die in pain and then just mocking them basically.
It's a bummer. And I guess if you'll go even further, like Bill Cosby is like, oh yeah, Bill Cosby. He was this hilarious guy, very clean comedy. By the way, he's a rapist. Like, well, crap.
We can't have heroes.
Right.
I find it weird that Tina Turner was on that anti-drug board too, because
Tina Turner? For real?
Yeah, you didn't hear that? That's the very last name I said. Arnold Schwarzenegger and Tina Turner. And Kofi Annan.
Well, I don't know. I realized when I first Tina Turner, I know who Tina Turner is, by the way, but when I heard first heard Tina Turner, for some reason my brain brought up Whitney Houston, and they are not the same person.
No, although I have done the exact same thing, and in my mind, I'm with you.
So because I did that, that's why I immediately dismissed. But was Tina Turner a big drug? I don't know that much about Tina Turner.
Her and Ike did a lot of coke back in the day and beat each other, or he beat on her a lot. And,
makes total sense. I mean, I believe it.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know a lot about Tina Turner, but just what I do, yeah, sure.
I mean, honestly, she might have been clean when she got the honorary mention or whatever. Oh yeah, and Tashtar Ata, it was a man-made mountain that he was presented in front of. Now, apparently, so this whole mind free of drugs thing is basically like a weird cult. They give you this heavy rock and they tell you to take it to the top of this mountain and apply this rock and leave this rock up there. And they say it's been done so many times, there is a man-made mountain that is massive on the top of this hill from all the people who have gotten clean doing this process. And it's in Kyrgyzstan, of all places. And it's actually part of the Kyrgyzstan Come See What We Have tourism board. So they'll talk about this giant man-made mountain of rocks that has been built up there and like it's some great thing. But I actually found an actual picture of the hill of rocks. It's not that impressive. Hold on. I'll send it to you real quick. Because everywhere it's like this man-made mountain, this epic mountain that, but every angle I've seen from like their website and stuff, it shows us as being like it makes it look like an actual mountain, it's like low, high up angles. But then I don't know if you can actually see the picture that I sent you. It's
really small, but I can see it. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's big enough to know that is like nothing.
Yeah, you had to go like far, far away from that place's website in order to find a picture of the rock that didn't make it look massive. Because almost all of them is like people kneeling next to it with like somebody laying on the ground taking an upward shot. So yeah, I just decided to take the time to shit on this.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, if you're gonna travel way out there to make some kind of like big mountain, and you show up, you're like, oh, this is mountain's a mound at best.
Yeah, and they make it sound cool by calling it a man-made mountain.
Well, yeah, I believe it. It's tiny. Why not?
Yeah, it's a man-made hill. So after he got his giant World Stone of Peace that he freebased, he released 2 more albums after that, and his popularity started to skyrocket enough that he actually was invited to perform at the Kremlin for Putin in 2003, and at the time he was the youngest performer ever to perform solo at the Kremlin. Also kind of impressive.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. He now started touring all over Russia and Europe and North America, and he wasn't like killing it in North America, but he did tour North America, and he was building a fan base, kind of building up his name too back in Russia. However, this first tour wasn't known as being very profitable. Got his name out, but wasn't making a ton of money yet. He also did do some duets with some famous Russian singers, including some opera singers. And from what I gather, being a pop singer duetting with Russian opera singers is kind of a big deal in their country because Russia takes their opera really seriously. It's one of those things they do well. So they don't really like mixing and mingling their opera singers with like, quote unquote, lowly pop stars. Or at least that's the impression I got, because this dude's Wikipedia isn't very good, so I kind of had to like go read Russian fan sites. So my work computer has a lot of .ru sites on it now.
The FBI is looking at it like, well, this guy's asking a lot of Russian stuff.
Right? It's all about this Vitas guy. What the hell?
Yeah, meanwhile, it's like, both domestic and foreign terrorists are using this website. And like to smuggle stuff. Meanwhile, here you are just kind of walking through.
Just completely oblivious.
What's this? You can't read Russian, so it's like whatever. And Google Translate's not helping you.
I'm just like blah 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 rubles. Huh? Interesting. Click on the wrong link, and all of a sudden I just get some weird packages mailed to me in the middle of the night. 2004, he released the album "A Kiss as Long as Eternity." Sold 2 million albums in 6 months. So as you can see, he's getting album sales too. I assume 2 million albums in 6 months is pretty good. I didn't bother to compare it to anything, but that is 2 million more albums than I have ever sold.
2 million?
2 million albums, 6 months.
Damn, not bad.
Yeah, that seems like a lot. 2006, 2 things happened for Vitas. He finally gets married to the woman that he loved all his life and almost got busted at the border with. And the Chinese government gave him a call. Turns out they were throwing a hootenanny in Beijing called the Year of Russia in China. And it's basically, hey, Russia and China, we're getting along. Let's do, performances together, some of our artists. So Russia sent over Vitas, and he performed a couple of songs on stage, and he killed it. China actually fell in head over heels in love with him. He became far bigger in China than anywhere else. He would go there, tour, and just completely sell out stadiums left and right. He was on TV shows. He was on a bunch of movies, too, including big Chinese government movies like Mulan, Founder of the Party, Become Famous Overnight, and The Master's Last Secret. Which, Founder of the Party and Mulan, I remember hearing about as big Chinese movies. Founder of the Party was like the government propaganda one that was like, ooh, China, great.
What? China making a propaganda movie? Never.
Right? I know. As long as good old America doesn't do anything like that, we're above making propaganda.
Did you hear about that one movie that China produced, like the actual country? It was an animation they put tons of money in, and finally, when it came out, it was like South Park quality animation. They were so pissed. Like, we gave you guys literally like millions of dollars, and this is what you bring us? I mean, and
whoever's in charge of that project just like loaded up his car and just took off in the middle of the night.
Oh yeah. I mean, because this is China. I mean, now I've actually seen recent Chinese anime, so they do pretty good. But like at the time, I don't know if China was doing that, but like Japan was, and they were right there. So I mean, it's not like they didn't have access to, talent. Now, I am aware China and Japan aren't exactly buddies, but they I know there are some kind of working relationships up there. I mean, they're not actively at war. Again, I acknowledge there's
feelings there.
Yeah,
there's a lot of feelings between those two nations.
There's a little animosity between the two countries, but I mean, let's be fair. It's probably like that. Japan and Korea aren't exactly best friends either. I mean, now South Korea might be, maybe, but definitely not the North one. And
yeah,
Japan, China. I mean, let's just look, let's just all acknowledge, if it's close to Japan, someone's probably pissed at them. There was a little bit of time they decided, like, hey, let's just take over everybody.
Yeah, we're going to go out there and rattle our sabers a little bit and see what happens. And which people don't forget.
It never really, like, I never really got that. Because, look, Japan, as powerful as their army was, they're small. Let's pretend they were the best army in the world. And they did take over China. Then what? They can't produce enough people.
Right, because we have one Japanese person to guard all 3,000 Chinese, or whatever, even bigger tiny. Ratio.
Yeah, it just wouldn't work. And there was that one show that came out a while ago. It was oh man, I've only seen like the first several episodes. Was it Man in the High Tower? Do you know what I'm talking
about? High Tower, the big tall dude from Police Academy?
No. It was a TV show, and anyway, the premise was it was alternate reality where America lost, and Germany and Japan took over America and split America. So Germany took over one part of America and Japan took the other part of America. But I'm just like, how? Like, there literally isn't enough bodies that Japan could produce that would be able to hold the country, especially as big as America. Never mind, like, I don't know, Australia or something. It just it doesn't make sense. They would need to recruit other countries. It would need to be the whole, like, Alexander the Great thing, where they would conquer a country, then absorb them into the army. Well, but in modern times, I can't imagine, like, oh, yeah, especially
the way I was raised is they would use Satanism to brainwash Americans, and then Americans would enslave each other.
Right. Yeah.
Because, hey, that's what the communists do. They have satanic powers of mind control people.
I mean, Wolfenstein made more sense, and it still didn't make sense. But the more recent
Wolfenstein 2, that one stupid head cutting off scene, I swear to God.
That was so dumb.
That was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. We have this one shot, grab his head out of the middle of the air and just go flying it back on a drone. Oh, God.
Yeah. Oh, it just... They could have gone. I mean,
then they attach his head, and 18 hours later, he's just right around, be like, "Look, I'm fine." Woo!
Yeah, he's totally fine.
Yeah,
and it's like,
didn't he have sex right after?
Yes, well, that's the thing. Like, and it's never mentioned again. It's like they did the Darth Maul thing. We're like, "Oh yeah, he's in a robot body." By the way, never mind. It's all fine.
Yeah, I'm sorry, dude, but if I see your head get cut off, and then next day you're fine, I'm gonna have a lot of questions, dude. I'm gonna be asking you nonstop questions.
It was immediate. If they had the body at the ready.
Yeah, right. And part of me would be like, hey, if it's that easy, why don't we just all get our heads cut off and try it out? That sounds like fun.
It wasn't surgical. They didn't take care. The dude got his head chopped off with a sword.
I know. It was not a precision cut.
Okay, we veered off topic from veering off topic.
It's so stupid, though.
Oh my God. I mean, it was fun. I mean, going around shooting things, it was fun. The game
that part was fun. And the game didn't take itself too serious, but they could have done a million better ways of writing that scene.
Well, there were times they did, when he ran to his dad and that whole dramatic scene. That was they were trying to interject some drama in there, but you're still just he's a robot with and there's no difference. No one can tell the difference as he's walking through. I mean, there's not even bolts in his neck like Frankenstein. It's just he's
right. Fine. Every time somebody turns a microwave on, he pees his pants just because of interference.
I mean, at the very least, again, I know it's a video game, but if he's got a robot body, give him robot hands, give him a machine gun in an arm. Give me Barrett. So what's going on? Why is he still running around?
That would be kind of disappointing. Be like, well, we reattached your head to a robotic version of your body. Ooh, did you make improvements? Nope, it's exactly like it was. Oh, damn it! Even the zits and stuff. Yep, down to the last detail.
Beginning to end is the exact same thing.
I'd be like, couldn't you at least fixed a couple of things? Shaved off a few pounds? Nope, that's not how it works. Son of a bitch. Give me treads for feet instead or something. So, anyways, Vitas, starring in movies like Mulan and founder of the party. Everybody loves him in China. They even gave him the nicknames Lord of the Dolphins and Space Nightingale. Which, those sound like really lame comic book heroes from the 50s, those old Golden Key comics, those kind of things, where it's Space Nightingale teams up with Little Lotta on this adventure. Yeah. You know which comics I'm talking. No, apparently you don't.
No, I'm trying to. Who? Sorry, I got lost. I was trying to. I got quiet because I was searching my memory.
Oh, gotcha. No, I was just saying that the nicknames that they gave Vitas sounded like old comic book heroes, lame comic book heroes.
Yeah, I was just trying to place certain the Wiz. I'm like, the Wizard, no, because that was just some unfortunate ones that probably worked back in the day that don't work now.
Yeah, the Golden Glove or whatever weird names they had back
Yeah,
then. All I can think of
whatever.
is stuff like Casper and Little Lotta and.
Oh, okay, you're going that route. Okay, not superhero comics, but like Casper and
those comics also had like really lame superheroes in them, though. Trust me, I know I had some of those comics back in the day.
Did you? Yeah, I had some Archies, and Archie never really I never liked Archie because first of all, I don't know, they made him look like some kind of obviously some freckled ginger, and he has like two bombshells just wanting him, and I'm like, what? And he's like, oh, I can't pick between the two. Like, man, come on, this is so stupid. But on that note, the first time I felt like tinglies, like I fell in love when I was a kid. There was an Archie live action TV show, like when they were adults, and whoever they hired, I can't find it. I tried to find online, and I don't know, for some reason, like the pictures, I probably the actual show, but like my memories changed her. But whoever played Betty, dude, I fell in love. I was like, oh my god!
Aruga, your eyes like went whoopie out in front of you. Your heart's like fa-fumpa.
I was all about it. I mean, I don't even remember the show. I just remember like staring at her, and that's what I knew. That's also when I finally I acknowledged to myself what kind of a guy I was, and I'm like, okay, I know what I like on a woman.
Yeah. You're like, well, there we go.
Yeah, she's got two of them, and they are amazing.
So, Gold Key Comics, I googled it real quick to look up what kind of heroes they had back in the day. They were home of such things like Green Hornet, Space Family Robinson, Turok, Son of Stone, Dagar the Invincible, The Time Tunnel, Johnny Quest, Tiger Girl, Cave Kids. So yeah, they ran between like little cheesy kid cartoons to like really lame superheroes from like The Owl.
Johnny Quest was the only one that jumped out at me, and even then, the most I know about Johnny Quest are like the not like the making fun of it, like
Underdog.
I
remember Underdog kind of. So back to Vitas. Now with his new nicknames, Lord of the Dolphins and Space Nightingale, freshly given to him from the Chinese, he also had a 3-meter statue erected to him in 2009, and the Chinese government also gave him the Honored Artist Award. And he received that in front of 100,000 people, and millions of people watched him on TV get it as well. And 2011, he also won Performer of the Year in China. So again, the Chinese love this dude. He is massive there.
Why? I mean, I guess.
Honestly, I couldn't tell you. I guess Chinese just like weird white stuff. I don't know. Although then again, if the Chinese were like, hey, come over here and sell at stadiums, hard to say. Not that I have anything against China, really. It's just like, I don't want wars to start and me being stuck in a foreign country like that.
Here's the thing, and I understand it's also me being a dumb American. Like we forget sometimes that the world is bigger than us, particularly with entertainment. Like maybe not like with politics, but talk about it specifically with entertainment. Like, no, there are massive movie stars out there who we have never.
There's some Bollywood stars who have won more Oscars than we can even fathom.
Yeah,
and, it's like he's the biggest actor in the world. I've never heard of
Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan, it took a while before he came over here and got big, but he was like a huge movie star. And even still, like Jackie Chan's more of a novelty name over here.
Yeah, he's over in foreign markets. He's very serious and taken very well respected.
Yeah. You can still run to people who don't know who Jackie Chan is. Yeah, because if they're not in action movies, they just don't know who he is. Maybe they've seen him on Rush Hour, but it was kind of forgettable. But they don't know too much about him but then you go to those markets and it's like you can't not run someone who doesn't know who Jackie Chan is. I saw a really kind of like, sweet emotional thing with Jackie Chan. He was doing some award. I think it's probably in China, most likely in China. And like he was standing there with all his stunt people behind him, and like up on the video, like his original stunt people were like doing a tribute to him. And while he was watching that, they all came up behind him. It was like he's all bursting into tears. He's like all emotional. I was like, oh, that's so awesome. Yeah,
and then all the stuntmen were like, you owe us money, dude. This is a summons for court. We've been trying to track you down. This is your summons, Jackie. Also in 2011. Go ahead.
I was going to continue about Jackie Chan, but him like doing
continue Jackie Chan.
I'm done. I was just going to say, just think about all the stuff he would do, like in terms of like what made him so big, and just amazing still alive. I mean, all those all those stunts that went wrong.
And then he'd like continue to do the entire movie with a broken leg.
Right. I mean, and they would show like at the end of the thing, like their credits, like, oh yeah, by the way, here's when everything went terribly wrong.
Yep. There is some controversy on whether or not he's actually done all his stunts, however.
Oh, really?
Yeah, actually, I went down a rabbit hole like a year or two ago, and there are some scenes out of his movies that very does not look like him doing those stunts. I mean, it's in the minority, but there's a couple times like it'd be like scenes where he's like jumping between two buildings, and like as he jumps off, it's obviously him. As he lands, it's obviously him. But like the in between scenes, it was kind of like they did like 4 shots of the scene, and like they didn't use him for the entire clip, kind of deal.
Gotcha. There's always someone gonna be doubting. You're like, no, he can't. There's no way he could do that. This is shenanigans.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a stuntman. He did that for Bruce Lee. What movie was he in? Where it was like Bruce Lee ran almost exactly what you just said. Where Bruce Lee went to go jump, and the person flying through the air was Jackie Chan, and then the actual kick was Bruce Lee.
Yeah. What
movie was that? Was that Enter the Dragon? No, Enter the Dragon.
I've never seen a Bruce Lee movie, to be honest.
Well, I wasn't give you a ton of crap for that, but whatever. I mean, it's not like you have to. I've only seen a couple of them. Yeah, I've seen Enter the Dragon. Because if you were going to see a Bruce Lee movie, then that's probably what you saw. And I've seen a couple other ones, just offhand. But I mean, honestly, the Enter the Dragon. Oh no, there was the in the Tower or Faces of whatever. I saw another
Tower of the Faces of Death.
No, I mean, I basically had several movies come to me, and none of them were right. But there was the one where he had to go up a tower. It's the one where they made but they took his outfit on Kill Bill. It was the yellow.
Oh, is that the one where he fought Kareem Abdul-Jabbar too?
Yes, and he also fought blank his name, see his face. Everyone like it's jokes.
David Hasselhoff?
No, white guy. Beard.
Oh, Chuck Segal.
Chuck Norris.
Jesus. Chuck Norris, yeah.
Chuck Norris. And man, talk about people who went bad. Chuck Norris, like he is a nut job. Like,
yeah,
I think he got kicked one too many times in the head. Like, dude, I don't know. I never liked those jokes either. Where it's like, a snake bit Chuck Norris, and after 6 days of excruciating pain, the snake finally died.
Yeah, he doesn't do push-ups. He pushes the earth down.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen Chuck Norris as that much of a badass. I just haven't. Yeah, he was fine. I mean, he did some action movies back in the 80s, but I mean, did Sylvester
Stallone. He beat Bruce Lee at like a tournament or something in a
No, he never
Olympic
beat Bruce
tournament.
Lee. Bruce Lee handily handed him his ass every single time. He was Bruce Lee's pupil.
I could have sworn I heard somewhere that he did him as a draw in one of the Olympics or something, but I could be wrong on that.
I mean, you might be right, but from my information, without going to the internet and searching, Bruce Lee taught him, and Bruce Lee, there's no.
Haven't you ever heard of students surpassing the master?
Yeah, but I'm sorry, man. I've seen Bruce Lee fight, and I've seen Chuck Norris fight, and there's no question Bruce Lee handily handed his ass to him. Bruce Lee was so much faster, and just based on his build and his muscle tone, probably stronger. And I've seen Chuck Norris fight. He is, in comparison, his kicks are going through mud versus Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee, you should watch his movies. They're not sped up. If anything, they slowed some of his moves down. He is insanely fast. So I know they definitely did that during the Green Hornet series. They had to slow him down on those during that because the action was going too fast. And so, yeah, I mean, Bruce Lee was amazing. And I'm sorry, Chuck Norris isn't. He's fine. He's great. He had his heyday, and now he's an old man who's like a conspiracy nut.
It's because you hate gingers, isn't it?
Is Chuck Norris a ginger?
Isn't he red-haired? Maybe he's not ginger. Maybe he's just
I think it was blonde-ish. Like a sewer blonde or sandy blonde or whatever you want to call it.
Sewer blonde. The Lost Missing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle villain. I'm sewer blonde. I'm like the sewer surfer Shaw.
Behold my powers of being sewer blonde.
I can just turn myself bleach blonde whenever I want. Well, on tour, speaking of martial artists, word is while he was on tour out in Nepal, he actually became an honorary Tibetan monk because of his interest in Eastern philosophy. And it should also be noted, apparently Steven Seagal also is an honorary Tibetan monk. So I think it's kind of a BS title.
Yeah, I mean, is it one of those things where like you're walking out of the gift shop and you spent $100,000? You're an honorary monk.
More or less, yeah. You just gotta know the right monk and be like, hey man, I'm gonna donate to your cause. You want your own international airport outside of your temple?
Or it's one of those things where, like, you just walk up to a random dude, like, hey, can I be an honorary monk? It's like, do you like what we have to say? Like,
Yeah,
yes,
right.
then you can.
Exactly.
And here's a mini sand rake thing where and then
and here's your bonsai tree. Take good care of it.
Right. What are those called? There's actually a name for those things. This
Zen garden.
Zen garden. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was gonna drive crazy.
Especially since you probably have one in your house somewhere.
We don't, but we have. Jenny has one at our office.
Gotcha.
So yes, do we own one? Yes. Is it in our house? No.
We had to set it free. It was just cruel to keep it inside.
Well, she has it on her desk because not people listening don't know, but she's a therapist, a mental health therapist. So yeah, sometimes she'll have that out there for people to
so people can garden some zen.
Yeah, I mean it is a relaxing thing to do. I've never really found it relaxing though, because I always want to try to get the lines just so, and I never can. Because if you even like deviate a little bit, or even if you go over one of the lines are never perfect. There's always some little like.
Is there an actual goal for the thing?
Nope. The goal is to totally chill out. That's me. I make.
Okay, I was about to say because I sure wouldn't try doing that. I'd just be like la 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 la.
No, whatever you were doing it right. I just.
Except for in your mind, because I can picture me like doing all sorts of stuff, and you just staring at me like, "You son of a bitch!"
Like I'm trying to
hurt you.
Perfect patterns. I'm trying to make perfect patterns in there, and I could never get it quite right. But again, that's just me. Like again, whatever you did in there. Okay, if you took a dump,
you will still judge me for what I do in that Zen garden, though.
So as long as you were using the tools there and not like adding things to like poop, then you're
my Zen fecal garden. And finally, in 2011, Vitas also got the Best Foreign Artist from MTV Asia because of his multilingual work. He's released songs in Russian, Chinese, Romanian, Romanian, Polish, and English. So quite multilingual.
Well, time out though. Does he speak those languages? That's the thing. I mean, because you could either speak those languages or know how to phonetically say stuff. For instance, one of my favorite actors, and like I get mad respect for him, as Ron Perlman. He made a whole movie in French. What was it? The City of Lost Children. The entire movie, and I mean, it sounded fine to me. And from what I understand, a lot of other French people really appreciated what he said. He doesn't speak a word of French. He just learned his lines phonetically, and he went out there and reproduced it. So it's just. Now, to be fair, he wasn't making any monologues, so let me not give the illusion of he was up there.
He's not up there doing Hamlet in his non-foreign language, non-native language.
He was a quiet giant, type person. So he was around, but he did talk.
His whole line was like, "Could I get the Reuben sandwich?" in French.
Right. Yeah, it wasn't anything extensive. But I mean, that being said, Ron Perlman does speak multiple languages. I think he speaks like English, Spanish, German. Yeah, I don't know. Like,
how much does he speak of each one though? Just a couple words, or because I always wondered. I mean, people
from
are
what I understand, fluent. He's fluent enough. Yeah, probably not to like a native person. It's like, oh wow, it's like it'd be like someone coming over here from Japan who's never actually had conversation in English, and so they come over here and they start. I'm like, I made all A's on my English test, and I try to have conversation. We're like, oh, you're close. You're close enough. I can understand you, but you're still a little off. It's probably like him over in these countries, most likely. I mean, you know what though? I could be wrong. I could be like, no, man, he is like just full interpreter if you wanted to be. I don't know that much about Ron Perlman. I'll be honest with you. I appreciate what I like. I like him as an actor, and from what I've heard of him, like for instance, his language skills, I appreciate that. But if someone like writes in and says, "No, Ron Perlman, actually, he doesn't know any of his languages. It's all the act," I'd be like, okay, I have no way to dispute that other than this like.
To our listeners, what does Ron Perlman speak? Let us know at offtopic@gmail.com.
And let's also acknowledge I could do this research myself, but let's also acknowledge I'm not gonna.
Yes, this is true. I could always research Ron Perlman one of these days.
I mean, that very well could be a subject that would come up one time, but as of right now, nope.
Yeah, no, I can think of better things. Around 2011, things started to slow down for him a little bit. He was still touring, making his money, but not really like setting the world on fire. And back at home, he actually started getting into a little bit of trouble. 2013, he was drunk driving and hit a lady on a bike. Cops showed up, and he basically tried to start screaming at the cops, trying to pick a fight. It got recorded. People laughed, made it the news. He got thrown in. He was forced to pay a fine and apologize. And got his license revoked for a couple of years. And while the media was investigating this whole thing, it turns out prior years he had gotten a lot of drunk driving citations and lost his license a few times. Managing basically to pay all the fines to get it back a few times.
Well, that's one of those things like apparently it's from Final Fantasy, a Final Fantasy game where it's like if a law.
If the punishment for a law is a fine, then that's
it. Yes. Yeah. The punishment of law for a fine, basically it's against poor people, not rich. Yeah. So yeah, I heard some story about some guy who was just like, he always parked illegally. He was like a college student. He would always park illegally, and then they would tow his car, but then he would just pick it up for $200, and it wasn't a big deal. And they're like,
that sounds like a Steve Jobs thing.
Yeah, it just he's like, oh, whatever. You know, it's like, it's just $200. What's your problem? Like, no, man, that's $200. Like, that's make or break me eating or not.
Yeah, right. For some people, $200 is what they wipe their ass with. 2013, hit somebody on a bike. Then next up is career kind of in a little bit of a lull, at least in the Western world. 2015 is when that video we watched earlier pops up, shows up on Reddit. And that leads to a second resurgence of Vitas in America. And that video has gotten hundreds of millions of views.
Second resurgence in America?
Well, I guess it was his first resurgence. I guess I should say his second tour in Europe or in America.
I was like, time out. Like, did I miss the first time he was big in America?
Nah, I meant to say tour.
Okay.
Where the hell was I now?
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I wrote as resurgence of Vitas in parts of the world. All right. Yeah, not much was happening until 2015 when the world would be reintroduced to Vitas via that one video on Reddit, the Seventh Element video. Millions and millions of views. And brought back into the spotlight a little bit worldwide. Made people wonder what the deal with him is. And not much happened after that until 2018 when he had another lapse in judgment. He was in a very, very ritzy part of Russia. It was like the Beverly Hills of Russia where he lives. And he decided for whatever reason it'd be a good idea just to stand in his backyard and start shooting a starter pistol over and over and over again all day long. Cops showed up and told him to open the door and come out and talk to him. He said no. Cops came in and got him.
Well, yeah, that's like they will. I mean,
yeah,
like,
yes, like they will.
Okay, sure. Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, I know, right? Knocking at the cops. Come on out. No. We're coming in. No. All right, fine. Just have a good day, sir. I mean, that probably happens some places sometimes. But
well, if they're rich enough.
So, last we heard about Vitas shooting a starter pistol. Not much has happened since then. No music released. He kind of disappeared out during COVID and has just sort of become a recluse.
What about his wife? Is she still around? Or?
Yep, she's still around. They actually have 2 kids. That's pretty much it.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Most of his info was that front-loaded stuff. After that, it was kind of like, well, he did his thing, and then from like 2000 and on, he's just sort of been kind of on cruise control.
I mean, as long as he didn't blow all his money, fair enough, man.
Nope.
I mean,
as far as I can tell, he still has good money. He's still got his family, wife, kids,
honestly,
and his fame.
Man,
so,
if you get really, really famous, and then then you lose that, but you still have all your money, then you won. You're a winner. There's no problem. That was one thing. Have you ever watched the always bug me about this movie? Do you ever see what was it? Oh man. The animated movie. Oh, Jesus Christ. I can't believe I see it in my head. We just watched it like the other night. It is from Dr. Seuss. It's
the Lorax?
Lorax, thank you.
Woohoo!
Yeah, you got that in one.
Yay! So, I don't know how I got that, but
I don't either. But you know what? I'll roll with it. So yeah, the Lorax. So the premise of the Lorax, of course, is it's a kind of environmental movie, and it matches my politics, so it's fine. But I know it definitely pissed off some right wingers. But at the end, so the premise is, he's making these completely stupid clothing, whatever. And he uses the leaves off these trees. Well, his family comes to cut the trees down because it's faster. So he ends up cutting all the trees down. They wipe out every tree in the area. So and they imply this only tree, like all the trees ever, but because their world is a span of like I don't know, 10-mile radius. But so they cut down the last tree, and he's immediately bankrupt. Immediately.
He's immediately what?
Like bankrupt. Like the next day, he's destitute. And I'm like, what was your business practices? Is like he was like a billionaire. Like they are implying like this dude, he has a huge factory with all this stuff. I mean, this guy is this.
He was hooked on Fabergé eggs.
Yeah, is business mogul. And then seriously, like the moment the last tree falls, he loses everything. It's like, what were you doing? Like, what? What? Like, I can't imagine anyone's fall would be so fast. Like, just it. Like, it's so funny because of the whole, you suspend your disbelief, especially for cartoons, but especially cartoons. I mean, they have flying, wheel mobiles or whatever. I mean, it was completely ridiculous. But that pulled me out of the movie. And I know it was probably just me, but that pulled me out of the movie. How quickly he went from being the richest man in their world to a nobody who lives in the outskirts of town. In fact, like not only did he lose everything, he lived out in the outskirts of town in a shack that nobody knew who he was. So he went from the richest man ever that everybody knew who he was, and fast forward like maybe 10 years, and nobody's heard of him, and he is just that has nothing. So I mean, everyone, like, if Bill Gates lost everything, if Bill Gates lost everything right now, let's see, just suddenly just everything dropped out, and he's like, he went from $billions to -$1 billion, and he went off to live in a cabin somewhere, we would all still know who he was. Yeah, that would be a story to tell. Oh yeah, Bill Gates, he lost everything. But in this movie, it's like he lost everything and just vanished from everyone's consciousness as well. It's just pulled me out of the movie.
And then once that happened, you flipped the table over and screamed, "I am not staying in this room to watch this movie. This movie makes a joke of economics and finances."
Well, no, I just made my voice known, and my kids laughed.
And the kids are like, "Sit down, Dad. We don't care." "You will care when you're my age."
Oh, my middle child, Ivy, she has definitely picked that up for me. Like, if it's a movie I have seen before, I do tend to like mock, and like I'll make comments and stuff like that. And she'll do the same thing. Yeah, she really does. To the annoyance of my wife. Yeah, she's actually said several times, she's like, "Please stop! You're ruining the movie." I'm like, "Okay, I'm sorry."
You're like, "I can't. I wish I could, but I can't." And you just start crying. "I can't. Please fix me."
But the logic doesn't work, Jenny.
It burns my mind. The lack of logic burns my mind. Just like they're just wailing on TV. The pain from it all.
Well, I mean, I'm fine. Like, as long as the movie. I don't need a movie to follow all the rules exactly, because I mean, it's a movie. So yeah, you only enjoy it by suspending your disbelief. I understand all that. Just when you get to the point though where it just defies any logic at all, that's where that's where I get stuck. The end.
This is where the ending jingle goes. This is where the ending jingle goes. I don't know if we need one. I don't know if we'll get one. But if we do, then here is where it goes.